Fine, Tara. Why do you want to do this module?
Well, one of my favorite projects I ever worked on was a vocabulary project with Isabel Beck. And I just love kind of passing on that love of language to kids and seeing them use words to convey their thoughts. And I want to pass that on to other teachers.
Yeah, but I loved putting this into place in my classroom as well. Plus, I have like this weird philosophical affinity for it. I think this is the most important module that we're going to do ever.
All right.
And I've got a cool story to share.
Well, I am a sucker for a story. What would we tell our kids in this situation?
Share. We tell them to share.
Shall we?
Let's shall.
Hi, it's Tara.
And Ben?
And today we're here to answer the question, how do I help my students develop rich, robust vocabularies?
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why that's important, and then we're going to dive in and explore 3 things that you absolutely need to know in order to put this into practice in your classroom.
So this video was inspired by the work of Isabel Beck, Margaret McGowan, and Linda Kukin in their book, Bringing Words to Life. This book has really revolutionized vocabulary instructions for many teachers, and I hope it does for you as well.
So let's talk about why vocabulary matters, and to do that, let's tell a little story. It starts in Nicaragua, where for a long time, students who were deaf had to evolve their own idiosyncratic languages with their families and their local communities. Then all of a sudden they started this big push for special education reform, and they brought all these kids together in one place and had them communicate with each other. All those different languages, trying to communicate with each other at lunch and at recess and after school. And slowly a common language started to evolve, but at first it was really concrete, nouns and verbs. As the years went by, the language evolved. It became capable of expressing greater abstraction. Now the big payoff. The students who graduated when the language was concrete struggled with cognitive tasks which involved abstraction. The students who graduated later, when they had the language for it, they could perform those intellectual tasks. So in a very real way, the words you can say define the thoughts that you can think. That's why vocabulary is so absolutely critical.
So let's bring it a little closer to home. What happens actually when our own students don't get this kind of robust vocabulary instruction? There are some serious deficits to overcome. By the time children are 3 years old, those children from high socioeconomic families have been exposed to about 30 million more words than those from low-income families. And there's a very real connection, a direct connection between vocabulary and comprehension. One study showed that students' first grade vocabulary predicted their 11th grade, their junior year comprehension ability. So we've got to do our part to lessen that gap, to prepare students with powerful, audacious words that yield powerful, audacious thoughts. So there are 3 things you need to know to get your kids using rich, robust vocabulary words. First of all, let's make sure you know which words to teach. Second of all, let's make sure we're teaching words in lots and lots of contexts. And third, we want to make sure you understand that definitions are crap. There's another alternative. So let's start with, which words should we actually teach? There's more than 100,000 words in the English language.
171,476, give or take.
So you need to narrow it down. But how? It turns out words can be broken into 3 tiers, and you want to focus your attention on the middle, what we call Tier 2 vocabulary. So Tier 1 words are those words that are easy to learn from context. Words like sand, run, happy.
Everybody already knows those words, so don't teach them.
Conversely, Tier 3 words are discipline-specific vocabulary.
Things like idiom and photosynthesis and carpetbagger.
Exactly. That leaves Tier 2 words. These are words that are common in text, but not so common in everyday conversation. This means learners are less likely to come across these words, yet they're the words that they need to be sort of educated communicators. Tier 2 words are vivid. They give language its richness. It's words like elated, like majestic, pinnacle. You might wonder, can young children actually use these sorts of words?
Stop it. Don't wonder that. Of course they can learn these words.
We should never be scared to use big words with little kids. If they know the concept, they can learn a label for that concept. Well, if they know good, they can learn the label
magnificent, superb, and sublime.
Not only can they learn it, but they love it.
That dinner was sublime, Mom.
You know which words to teach? The next thing you need to know is that words are like friends. If you meet someone one time, you only know them a little bit, but if you meet them again and again, especially in different contexts, you get to know them more deeply. Words are the same way. All the strategies we're going to share are designed to get kids hearing and speaking and writing and reading these words in lots of different contexts, and especially seeing lots of concrete examples.
Yeah, they need to understand that the word like majestic, it could apply to a mountain or a lion or a person, right? And they just won't get that understanding unless you expose them to a variety of contexts repeatedly. So we've talked about which words to teach, those tier 2 words, and we've talked about needing multiple contexts, right? This rinse and repeat idea. Now we're going to take a look at the third element, which is let's look at definitions and why you shouldn't be using them. The last thing you need to know to get your students using robust vocabulary is that definitions are crap. When you introduce a word to your students, please don't have them look it up in the dictionary and write down dictionary definitions. At best, they define the word using the word, and at worst, they use such obscure syntax that you leave kind of feeling dumber than you did before you looked up the word. Instead, use explanations. Introduce words in sort of an explanatory context. For example, you might say, if something is deplorable, it's so bad it almost makes you feel sick to your stomach. So there's those 3 things that you need to know. First of all, not all words are created equal. Let's teach those tier 2 vocabulary words. Second of all, words are like friends. Let's teach them in multiple contexts and multiple variety of ways. And finally, number 3, definitions are crap. Don't use them. Use explanations instead.
So what does that mean for you? In part 2, we're going to learn 2 different strategies that you can implement in the classroom right away. You'll want to stay tuned for that. We'll see you soon.